somewhere, Greg McElroy is still complaining about Oklahoma. I don't. Welcome back. It's week 5 of the midweek college football breakdown. I'm the AntMan. He is Brandon Stevens. Down low is Dalton Miller. Fun game on a Saturday, Oklahoma and Auburn. It was the first SEC game for both teams, not without controversy though. And man, it was still being talked about, and there's people just adamant on both sides. Record-setting, I think, 10 sacks in one game. The D really made Arnold, they didn't make Arnold cough up the ball at all, though, in any of those 10 sacks. And like I said, I believe there are a couple of plays that still have Greg McElroy steaming mad. I saw a clip of him on Instagram today where he was still complaining about the catch, no catch.
The fumble that was returned for a touchdown?
Yes. Yeah. And still complaining about it. It looked like he'd just gotten out of the shower, too. I'm like, you thought about that the entire time you were in the shower, too, didn't you? Brandon, let's start with you. How'd you feel about the game on Saturday, 2:30 on ABC?
I mean, overall, it was just a battle. I mean, defensively, we gave up some big plays that were kind of not what we've been doing so far. But Jackson Arnold actually put the ball in some really good spots for those receivers down the field a couple of times. And we got one of our cornerbacks, Cortland Gilroy, was just getting picked on like crazy. They were putting Cam Johnson over there, and Cam Johnson is just a stud. Or Cam Coleman, I mean. And he's just a stud. They were putting him over there. He goes 3 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown, averaging almost 30 yards a reception. But they were just picking on him, and it was very noticeable. A little disappointing because he's been really good to this point in the season. I mean, the big thing for me is we still don't have a running game. I know Auburn is a really good defense against the run, but we still don't have a running game. I mean, good Lord, we ran the ball 26 times for 32 yards. Just awful on the ground. And that's even including, John Mateer's rushing. He led the team in rushing with 29 yards, which is embarrassing.
Crazy.
That's not going to be we can't keep doing that and win. There's going to come a time when we're going to have to run the ball.
For sure.
Defense, like you said, great. It was 10 sacks, and then they took one of them away, and it was only 9 sacks.
Oh.
But we had more sacks in that game than 90% of FBS schools have for the season, which that's a crazy stat. It was fun. It was fun defensively watching them. And I'm not going to lie, I loved when our Mason Thomas came back in the game after halftime, and his second play was just a monster sack on Jackson Arnold. But if you're Jackson Arnold, you've got to have some kind of clock in your head. Like, he thought he was just going to stand there all day against our defense. He was not moving. He wasn't looking around. He wasn't trying to find a route to leave. He was just like concrete. And our Mason Thomas made him pay for it. That was the first of 2 our Mason Thomas sacks. The second one was the safety, which was nice. But, 9 sacks. Defense played really good. Like I said, gave up a little more yards and on a couple of big plays that I wasn't very happy about. But that all can be cleaned up, and had 2 interceptions really right in our hands that were dropped.
Should have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah, should have been turnovers there. It feels like that maybe the game doesn't slow down for Jackson Arnold like it does for it, where it just clips along for everybody else, and they can kind of even John Mateer, he'll see the field really quickly, but for him it's in super slow motion. I think everything's just in slow motion sometimes for Jackson Arnold. It feels like that. It's like, I got all day. I'm gonna sit back here and see. Maybe that, and then gets pancaked.
I think you're right. He's like, I've only been sacked 8 times today. Let me stand back here for 8 seconds.
Then we'll do it again. Dalton, everybody obviously still talking about, even the SEC officials have come out to talk about the play for the touchdown, the pass to Sedania. Satania, thank you. That pass to him in the end zone, and whether it was we were being malicious and being what it's not malicious is not the word I'm looking for, being deceitful in that play. But he looks at a ref and lines up, and the ref is fine, and his signal is to the ref on the other side to say that this guy is on the line over here. Then they know how many are all on the line. So nobody even thought that at least officiating wise in the moment, that was an issue. Did you feel like it was in the moment? And have you changed your mind at all now that we've had some time to think about it and watch it again?
No, I haven't changed my mind. I didn't know in the moment. I had no idea what the heck was going on until they started showing replays. I mean, my first thought was, how the heck is he all alone? What is going on? What is Auburn doing? And then they show the sideline quick of Auburn, and I mean, their staff is just furious. But I didn't want to have an opinion.
McElroy.
Yeah. I didn't want to have an opinion about it until I really understood what was going on, because obviously they thought that it was a deceitful play. Trick plays have to be disclosed to the refs before the game.
Which is dumb.
Yeah. I mean, and in a conversation, I learned this too, though, just about the rule of when a ref sets the ball down for play. They obviously check to make sure there's been no substitution so that they don't have to hold the play. Oklahoma was trying to run a tempo play, and when the ref set the ball, Satania was still inside the numbers at that time. He didn't end up setting up inside the numbers, but the rule in college football is you have to be inside the numbers when the ref sets the ball. And so the refs are looking for that to make sure that everybody's legal and everybody's good and they're not going to sub. And Satania was. Then, not to mention, Satania checks with the ref to make sure that he's lined up off the line of scrimmage. And he could have been 30 yards behind the line of scrimmage, right? Like, there's nothing that says you have to line up.
That's right.
I mean, if you're not on the line of scrimmage, you're not on the line of scrimmage. So I'm more like, how did anybody in the box not notice what was going on and say something quick to the coaching staff on the field? Like, you can claim all day long his body language looked like he was walking off the field. I agree. His body language did look like that. But I mean, I was having a conversation with my dad about this. He's the one that confirmed that rule with me. He was like, what about a flea flicker? The running back's body language is that he's going to take off running before he pitches it. What about a reverse pass?
That's right.
The receiver's body language is that he's going to take off up the field on the reverse before dumping the ball off, or the tight end or the receiver is going to block first before releasing to go down the field to catch a pass. It's just wild to me, the excuses that they have for this, when reality is they missed it. They didn't pay close enough attention, and Satania checked with the refs beforehand.
Well, somebody at work asked me about it today, and I said, hey, if your defensive staff can't count to 11, they probably shouldn't be a defensive staff.
Well, and I don't even care about counting, but don't you know who you have? Don't you know who you cover? And go, hey, I don't have my guy that I'm supposed to be cut. Where is he?
And this is exactly why there's not a huddle on defense. Your cornerbacks and your safeties have to stay wide. You're supposed to have a captain on defense that's making sure everybody knows where everybody's at.
Right.
And then you have eyes in the booth for a reason. So to me, it was just a really poor mistake on the Auburn side that resulted. And again, if Oklahoma did have the intent to be deceitful, that's not their fault. I don't understand why, if it is a trick play and you want to claim that, I don't understand why that's illegal, why that's an issue, why you're mad about it. Yeah. You could have paid attention on defense.
Then I want to know what they were being talked to about all off season, which Auburn's coach was talking about. We were talked to extensively about being deceitful during the off season. What were you being talked to about? What, like, not running trick plays ever again, or what? What was that actual conversation?
Like, I don't understand I don't like you have to tell the officials what your trick plays are before the game. I think that's ridiculous. Like, not that the officials are going to go tell the other team, But I shouldn't have to tell you my play strategy just because you're the official. I get it. Some teams get caught off guard, and Auburn obviously did, and we caught them off guard. But, I don't remember who it was that said it first, but there have been a lot of coaches that said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I don't even think it's cheating, though. I don't think it's cheating, and you can talk all day till you're red in the face. You know what? If that cost you the game, you're ridiculous if that's what you think. Don't give up 10 sacks.
Yeah.
It's also very vague, like that rule. Like, what's a trick play then?
Yeah.
Is a reverse a trick play? Is a double pass a trick play? And does that mean that every D1 coach has to go in and disclose their playbook to the refs before every single game? Because, I just blows my. Do you have a fake field goal?
Right.
Do you have to disclose that and let the refs know, hey, we have this in our bag today. We may use it.
Well, in particular, and it's funny that we're talking about this because I remember in middle school, our coach telling a ref, hey, we have this play that we do a fake field goal that we may run later today. Wanted to give you a heads up. It's like, thanks, coach, for letting me know. And it was just, I think it was so that they knew what to look for when they saw it happen. So they weren't just, because that's the worst thing. Listen, I would rather tell the ref than to have them throw a flag because they thought something else and stop the play, and you don't get to run that play ever again.
That makes sense if you're like, especially if like when you line up specifically so that a lineman is eligible, you don't want the refs to think you're in an illegal formation when you're actually in a formation.
Right.
The other thought that the one thing that came to my mind when Hugh Freeze is talking about this was like more so on the plays of a quarterback fake sliding and letting up and then taking off. To me, that's more deceitful than what's this happening. Yeah. Or a quarterback running out of bounds and then stopping before he gets out of bounds and taking off upfield because he was able to trick the defense because they were afraid to hit him. To me, those are deceitful things because the game has protected the quarterback in those situations.
Well, I don't think he's
being the defense is instructed.
That happened with Jackson Arnold in this game. Number 44 pulled up because he's going out of bounds, and he didn't. He went across.
Boganowski.
Yeah. I thought the same thing, 100%.
Yeah.
And people were like, what is 44 doing? I'm like, I wasn't mad at him because the game protects the quarterback in that sense.
It does.
And I knew exactly what he was doing. And Jackson Arnold had angled to the sideline and then said, oh, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this and turn up. That's deceitful. Yeah. Because you weren't winning that battle, Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. That'll be a continued conversation for.
I'll say one more thing on this, though. If I'm Hugh Freeze, I'm more mad about the Satania overturned fumble than I am like I'd be throwing more of a fit that they overturned that when they called it on a field a touchdown. That would have been to me more of like are you kidding me, SEC refs?
Yeah.
He caught the ball,
that one
tucked and turned upfield, and you were found a way to say that he bobbled it. Because again, I still thought on the replay, I'm like, dude, that's a touchdown Auburn. Again,
I thought
I'm an OU fan. Glad that they overturned it. But to me, that's something that you should be more mad about as the head coach when you're talking about blaming the refs on something that, dude, he was off. It just blows my mind.
Be more mad about that and be more mad about the blatant pass interference on the goal line.
Oh, yeah,
where
for sure.
We just tackled him. They end up scoring on that drive, so that one doesn't matter as much. But still,
I thought all in all, it wasn't even a well-reffed game, personally.
No, it was bad refereeing.
That was not a good SEC crew, or they just had a really bad day.
Agreed.
It was poorly officiated.
Very well. Just for the fact of that judge being out of position, like that it wasn't a secret. He was running towards you. Those two guys are coming at you for a little while, a good 20 yards. To be out of position for things like that is I know it's easier said than done, but that's why those guys are there, is because, well, they're the best.
Yeah. And also, just while we're on it, I think you got to be more frustrated at yourself, because I think Auburn played well enough to win that game, and Jackson Arnold missed 2 touchdown passes if he's able to step in and make a throw under pressure. One of them I don't even feel like was too far under pressure, and he just overthrew his guy. But I mean, you mentioned it earlier on. Gilroy was just torched all game long, and Jackson Arnold missed opportunities. And Yeah, I think that Auburn has nobody to blame but themselves, in my opinion.
I agree.
Even though things didn't go their way, if you leave a game like this on the road when you had a chance to take it from Oklahoma and you couldn't, and your first thing is I'm going to blame everybody else rather than look at myself, that just tells us that I think you're weaker than what you're putting on. You're not as mentally tough. You're not as strong as you needed to be, and you weren't able to get the job done.
Let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Brandon, I'm going to start with you. Texas Tech versus Utah this past weekend. This one won you your master lock.
Yeah, you're right. I picked Texas Tech. I thought they would win outright, and they did. The good for me was Will Hammond, backup quarterback, came in after Baron Morton fell. His helmet hit the ground while he was being tackled. But the offense had just kind of been stagnant in the first half. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of eh. Will Hammond comes in, goes 13 for 16 for 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 8 carries for 61 yards. And he just seemed to make the right decisions whenever they were put in front of him. And he took advantage of his chance. I don't think he's going to be beating out Baron Morton. I don't think he's going to get the start next week. But he played a heck of a game. To me, the bad was Texas Tech's 14 penalties for 122 yards. And to their credit, not very often do you go on the road and win a big game with that many penalties in a hostile environment. But now comes the ugly, the reason they did. Utah's four turnovers and went 4 for 13 on third downs and 0 for 2 on fourth downs. They just really got dominated in the trenches. Texas Tech was 9 of 17 on third down. So even in the defensive trenches for Utah, they really kind of got dominated. That's my good and the bad and the ugly.
Dalton, over to you on the same game.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned Will Hammond because I put him down as well in case you did mention him. But he's going to be my honorable mention good. But what a game to come in off the bench and just dominate after your starter through 2 picks. But I'm going to go with the good as Texas Tech's defense. On the road, they held Utah to just 3.3 yards per rush, 4.3 yards per pass. They were 4 of 14 on third down, and they were 0 of 2 on fourth down. And you mentioned it, they forced 4 turnovers. Of course, their offense did their thing, exploded, but we're used to Big 12 games being shootouts, both teams in the 40s and 50 points. Yeah. They went on the road and found a way to shut down Utah, and that's the good. The bad was exactly the same. 14 penalties for 122 yards, and it's just crazy to think that you were able to win by that big of a margin when you had 14 penalties, but you just can't rely on that. You've got to get more discipline. You got to clean that up. And then the ugly for me is Utah's offensive collapse. Devin Dampier had 206 yards, 2 touchdowns against UCLA, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns against Cal Poly, and then 230 yards and 2 touchdowns against Wyoming. Tech held him to 162 yards, his lowest, and no touchdowns with the 2 interceptions. At home, to have such a decline in a game where, that was, at this point, people thought 2 of the top teams in the Big 12, and you lose by 53, and your offense just can't get rolling. That's a problem. That's going to be my good, bad, and ugly for that game.
I'm going to stay with you on this one, and we already know the ugly is going to be the orange. We're talking about Clemson and Syracuse, though. You kick off.
Yeah, the good is Syracuse, man. First ever win in Death Valley. That was their first road game in Death Valley against Clemson. And Steve Angeli, man, he was so good. 18 to 31 for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their rushing attack was good with Will Nixon having a touchdown and Willis adding 94 yards on the ground, where they rushed for a total of 157 yards. And it's just a historic win. And that's back-to-back weeks that we've seen teams get a win on the road against an opponent that's supposed to be inferior to them for the first time in their program's history. Mm-hmm. The bad for me is the non-contact injury to Steve Angeli. I mentioned how good he was in this game and how good he's been this season. Reports are out now that he actually tore his Achilles, which that's just awful. You hate to see that in a non-contact play, especially. But he was really good so far. this season. He was really good in this win at Clemson. So obviously that's a killer loss for this team. But then the ugly is Clemson being able to have such an offensive explosion and still find a way to lose the game at home in front of your fans. I mean, they were over 500 yards of total offense. The time of possession was very even, like a minute off from each team. But then they lose the turnover battle. They find a way to rack up 8 penalties for 75 yards, and you just wasted such an offensive game. Yeah. I mean, that's what you expect from Big 12 teams right there. Like you can score 50 points and lose. You can have 500 yards and lose. And that's what Clemson did. And, I mean, we've said it a couple times now. What's the future look like for Clemson? Because this is just not what they're used to under Dabo Swinney.
Yeah,
that's true. Same for you, Brandon. Same game.
All right. My good is the Syracuse defense. I mean, they didn't, like Dalton just said, they didn't hold Clemson to nothing, but they made plays on defense when they needed to. They made a bunch of big third down stops, 3 for 13 on third downs for Clemson, 1 for 5 on fourth downs. They caused 2 turnovers. One was a fumble in the third quarter early in the drive for Clemson on their own 18, which they turned into a 1-play touchdown drive. The other was a timely interception with 5 minutes and 7 seconds left to go in the game that really iced it because they were up by 2 scores already. So really iced it. They ended up giving the ball back to Clemson, but Clemson didn't do anything and ended up punting. But the bad to me, Clemson's inability to slow down the offense in the first half. Syracuse jumped out fast. They had touchdown drives of 7 plays, 75 yards, 9 plays, 75 yards, and 8 plays for 80 yards in the first half. And by that time, doubt's already sneaking into the back of Clemson's D's head. And this Clemson D just hadn't been what it was since Brent Venables left. It's understandable. We know how good of a defensive coach he is. We just talked about his defense being crazy aggressive and getting 9 sacks on the night. But then the ugly for me is just the overall fall of Clemson right now. I mean, they lose by 2 scores in a game where Cade Klubnik throws for 363 yards and a touchdown.
Crazy.
They lose by 2 scores. And really, to me, I watched the game, and to me, it never felt like it was in question. Like, from the very beginning, I felt like Syracuse really dominated the game. And you look at the stats, and they didn't. They just made the plays more when they counted. Dabo's going to have to catch up to the times with the NIL and the portal and figure some stuff out pretty quickly. I mean, he's openly expressed his angst against all of that, but he's struggling right now, and he's going to have to figure some stuff out.
So is Mike Gundy, and he's struggling as well.
I can't believe he still has a job as of today.
Staying with you, B. As of today, that's true. Let's go over to the Hoosiers and the Fighting Illini.
All right, this was a good game too. Fernando Mendoza put himself in the way too early Heisman talk, in my opinion. He's my good. 21 for 23, 267 yards, 5 touchdowns. He becomes the first Hoosier with multiple games of 5 touchdowns or more while only playing in 3 quarters in that game. And then his running game was really good too, averaging 6.4 yards a carry. The whole team was 49 rushes for 312 yards. And the 3 touchdowns, they just completely broke Illinois' will. I think Illinois was looking a little bit overrated at this point. And I don't have any bad. I'm just going to go straight to the ugly on this one. The ugly on this one was Illinois' offense was absolutely abysmal, totaling only 161 yards on the day and 2 rushing yards on 20 attempts. They literally had 2 yards rushing. They were 1 for 10 on third down, and then their defense gave up 579 total yards. This is an eye-opener for a lot of people in the Big Ten, I think. A lot of people around the country that weren't giving Indiana and Kirk Cignetti their due. And maybe it's just that Illinois is that bad, but nobody thought so going into this week. Indiana just totally outplayed them.
Good, bad, ugly. Dalton, for you.
Yeah,
Indiana.
Got to correct myself. It was Utah that lost by 24. Illinois that lost by 53. I said that scores backwards. And
I didn't catch it.
my good is the exact same as Unk's. Fernando Mendoza, 5 touchdowns, only incompleted 2 passes the entire game. That's incredible. Heck of a game.
And one of those was dropped. Did you know that?
I didn't. That's frustrating.
He only missed 1 throw.
Man, that's frustrating. My bad is that Illinois could not protect their quarterbacks, and they played both in this game. But Altmaier sacked 7 times. The Indiana defense added 10 more tackles for loss, which is just more negative plays for Illinois' offense. I mean, then they have their defensive captain get ejected for targeting, and it's just this uninspired performance from the number 9 team in the country, which goes right to my ugly. You were the number 9 team in the country. You play in arguably it's the second best conference in college football. There are people that really argue that the Big Ten is the best conference from top to bottom in college football. I disagree, but how are you the number 9 team representing that conference and lose by 53 when you're a top 10 team? I think that's obviously the AP voters got that one wrong. They hadn't played anybody going into this game, but that's just not a good look and a misrepresentation of a top 10 team in the Big Ten, who they, at that point going into week 4 had said, you're the 4th best team in our conference. And you went and lost to it. I get it. Indiana, they're good. They're ranked still, but I don't think that that should have been a 53-point difference. So props to Indiana, but you can't bounce back from a 53-point loss, in my opinion. So really ugly.
Really ugly. Let's stay with you, Dalton, and do our last one. Baylor and ASU. ASU going into Waco over the weekend.
Man, what a battle. Pretty evenly matched game. My good is going to be Jesus Gomez, 4 for 4 with a 43-yard walk-off after Robinson gets the stadium just rocking with his game-tying touchdown pass to Michael Trigg. I mean, we've talked about it. There's been really bad moments on special teams. Comes in, finds a way to walk it off on the road. Heck of a job to him, and he was perfect on the game. My bad is Baylor's turnovers. Yes, Sawyer Robinson had a decent game, threw for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he threw an interception, and then his teammate Josh Cameron, receiver, fumbled 2 times, and he lost both of those, giving the ball back to ASU. And when you can't force any turnovers and you lose the turnover battle 3-0, it's going to be really hard to win really close games. And that just proved us here as you lose the ugly. It's a costly loss at home. That's a game where you're evenly matched. You got to think that being at home gives you the edge, and you just weren't able to get the job done. We've mentioned it. Where is Dave Aranda's future here? We've talked, a lot of coaches right now that I think that any team in the Big 12 thinks that they can win the Big 12. And that with OU and Texas out of the picture, that you've got to think that. But now that's got to be the expectation. And you lose a game like this at home, you feel like you're going in the wrong direction.
Maybe except Kansas State.
I was going to say Oklahoma State.
Brutal.
Or Oklahoma State, yeah.
So. Oklahoma State still thinks so.
Well, that's just because they're dumb.
Bears and Devils, Brandon.
I mean, mine is a lot the same as Dalton. The good Jesus Gomez, game winner, 43-yard as time expired. But I also want to throw Arizona quarterback Sam Levitt in there. He went 22 for 32, 221 yards and a touchdown. Also rushed the ball 15 times for 62 yards and a touchdown. Had a really good game. The bad is just the turnovers. I'm totally with Dalton on that one too. The bad is the turnovers. And they made bad penalties and busted plays on big third down conversions that were just at inopportune times. And Dave Aranda even says it, like just too many times shooting ourselves in the foot at inopportune times. Yeah. Can't do that at home against a really good team. And then I'm kind of with Dalton. The ugly is I think Baylor may be out of the race in the Big 12 now. I mean, I know this is an early game, but it's an early road game, and it's an early road game against a team that you could have beat if you would have played clean. The 2 fumbles from the receiver after Sawyer Robinson had completed the pass and then he fumbles. I mean, that you just can't make that happen. You've got to be able to pick your quarterback up better than that. I really think that Baylor's going to struggle to get back into the Big 12.
I have a bad and an ugly from this game, and it happened after the game was over with, and that was the Arizona State player that went and humped the Baylor logo in the middle of the field afterwards.
Oh, I missed that.
I didn't see that.
I would play it here, but I don't think it's appropriate. And I'm frozen. I am now frozen. Maybe I'll just stay like that. Let's move on to Oklahoma this week. We have a bye week this week. So how do we regroup and prep for not only Kent State? I mean, you can't overlook them, Texas, and the rest of the SEC. Dalton, I'll start with you.
My goodness, figure out a run game in the bye week. Golly. Find some people up front that want to be physical. Find a way to get a push on the line. I mean, I think we are only going to make things more and more difficult throughout the season for John Mateer if we cannot find a run game. And I mean, that's what it comes down to me. It's just, to me, you got to find a way. If you can't run the ball against Kent State, we got problems going into the SEC, because the rest of our SEC schedule is one of the toughest in the country, and the trenches are scaring me right now.
I know we already talked about we talked about last week's game, but I felt like it all of a sudden went back to being very conservative on the offensive side, like it was a limited playbook again. Did anybody else feel the same way?
Yes and no.
I did kind of, but I felt more like they were trying to find a run game. They were trying to establish a run game and run some time off the clock.
Yeah.
I'm with Dalton. I mean, that's what we got to do this week. And next week, we've got to figure out a way to run the ball. We've got a few things to clean up. You know, it's nice to win a big game and know that you still have plenty of stuff to work on. I'd love to just be perfect every week, but we know that's not going to happen, right? So it's nice to win a game, a tough game like this, and be able to just have plenty to work on and have some stuff that you really need to concentrate on in your bye week. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. We really have 2 bye weeks coming up, and I know people are going to say, no, don't overlook Kent State. They're one of the worst teams in college football.
Man, they're just demoralized. I mean, they've played a brutal schedule.
They have. Yeah. They've played a brutal schedule, and it's just not going to get any easier next week. So, I mean, to me, that's it. We need to get some people healthy on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Michael Fasusi came in and tried to go, but his ankle was still just a little bit too tender and wasn't able to go. So we're missing our starting left tackle for most of that game. So hopefully they can get him healthy in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be really good.
Kent State already made $1.2 million from Florida State, and they're set to make $2.7 million more.
Yeah.
Good. So right now they're just banking money is what they're doing.
They're just making
they're just funding their athletic program.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's build a new, okay, cool. Let's go play Oklahoma. As we went into picks last week, Brandon was up 26-23. And after the picks were all said and done, you ended at 34-30. That's after your 4-point swing there. Not swing. Yeah, 4-point swing there in your master lock. So 34-30 as we go into picks this week. Let's start with Auburn versus Texas A&M, 2:30 on ESPN. Brandon, start with you.
I'm going with Texas A&M. I think they're playing really good right now. Auburn is coming off a tough game. Mm-hmm. They're also kind of exposed up front in this game against Oklahoma. I think they're going to have a hard time keeping Jackson Arnold off the backside of his lap. So I think A&M is going to come in and be able to really control that Auburn offense, and A&M is going to win this one.
Dalton.
Texas A&M.
Yeah. Next one is the big noon kickoff game, 11 a.m. on Fox. USC versus Illinois. Dalton, I'll start with you on that one.
USC. I think they're playing some pretty good football right now. I hate to say that and admit that, but after what Illinois just did against Indiana, I just don't see them having a chance against USC.
Yeah. Brian, the same?
Yeah, same.
Let's see. All right, 2:30 on CBS. Ohio State versus Washington. Brandon, what do you got?
I'm going Ohio State. I mean, Julian's saying those guys are playing really good right now. I think everybody has kind of had a couple of games so far where they're just kind of ho-hum, and Ohio State played Ohio this last week. Only won 37-9. I saw a bunch of people complaining about that, but Ohio State's going to win this one.
You too, Dalton?
Yeah.
Okay. LSU there. LSU versus Ole Miss. This is at 2:30 on ABC. Dalton?
I think I'm going to go with Ole Miss at home. I was really back and forth on this one today. I knew you were going to ask us this one because it's a big game.
Yeah, it is.
But at home, I just can't go against blanking on his name now, Lane Kiffin. I think that the offense is going to find ways to be creative. I think that he's going to find ways to score a lot of points, and that means that LSU is going to need to score points. So I'm going to go with Ole Miss here to defend the home turf.
Homer for you too?
Nope. I'm going LSU on this one. I'm going LSU. Garrett Nussmeier's just playing too good. We don't really know who the starting quarterback for Ole Miss is going to be. Is it going to be Austin Simmons? Is it going to be Chambliss? Chambliss has played good in his chances to play since Austin Simmons got hurt, but a little bit questionable there. I just think LSU's defense doesn't seem to give up the big play. They don't seem to, have the breakdowns like some of these other teams, and Nussmeier's just playing really good right now. I'm going LSU.
Staying with you, Brandon. Ducks and Nittany Lions, 6:30 on NBC. Oregon versus Penn State.
Man, I think this is going to be a really good game. I have a feelings with it being a night game, it's going to be a whiteout. And I'm going to go Penn State in the whiteout at home. I don't know that it's a whiteout, but I'm betting it's a whiteout being the primetime night game on NBC.
Yeah. How you feeling, Dalton?
I'm going to go opposite Onk again. 2 straight picks. Neither team has been tested. Neither team has played anybody worth anything yet. Quarterback play and offensive explosiveness is a little bit more leaning toward Oregon. And I think that their defense is always really tough. Obviously, this is going to be a really, really tough one on the road, but give me Oregon.
If you thought you were going to get some sleep after the day games, not so fast, my friend. 8 p.m. Fox West Coast game. We've got TCU traveling to Tempe to take on Arizona State. Dalton, stay with you on this.
I'm going to go with TCU on this one. I think this is going to be a really good battle, but Arizona State has just been too up and down for me. Leavitt's not playing as good as Hoover right now. Leavitt's got 6 touchdowns with 3 interceptions, whereas Hoover's got 11 touchdowns for 2 interceptions. So I think quarterback plays better there. I think TCU is really riding a high. They have a chance to start 4-0, and they can really make a run at the Big 12 this year. So give me TCU to take care of business on the road and get the upset.
How about you?
Same, absolutely same, for all the same reasons.
Okay, staying with you, Florida State versus Virginia. I just did this to give you an ACC game. 6 p.m. on ESPN.
Florida State.
Okay.
Florida State's playing so good right now, and I feel like Florida State's back. I feel like Miami's back. I feel like Oklahoma's back. Florida State's going to go take this one.
Boy, it feels like the late 90s, early 2000s again.
Right.
Dalton, you?
Yeah, I'm going Florida State. I understand it's on the road, but I was shocked it's only opened up as a 6.5 in favor of Florida State.
All right, we have the primetime game, 6:30 on ABC. Alabama Crimson Tide traveling between the hedges to Georgia. Dalton.
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia.
Okay.
Gunnar Stockton's playing too good right now. That Georgia defense is good. Alabama's not as good as they've been in the past, although they've played pretty good the last couple of weeks, but I think Georgia.
Master lock time. Brandon, it's yours.
I mean, I've already explained my master lock. I'm going with LSU. I'm going with LSU on the road as the 1.5 point underdog against Ole Miss. for all the reasons I said earlier. I mean, LSU's defense doesn't seem to give up the big play. They don't seem to have the mental breakdowns. We don't know who Ole Miss's quarterback is going to be, whether it's going to be Chambliss or Austin Simmons. But I do know who LSU's quarterback is going to be, and that's Garrett Nussmeier. He's playing really good football right now, so I'm going with LSU plus 1.5.
Dalton?
I'm going to go with TCU.
Okay.
Plus 2.5 on the road at Arizona State on Friday night. Try and get some points there. Go for them to stay undefeated and help me get back in this race.
Both locking in underdogs this week. Like the strategy.
Yeah, one of my bosses was a long snapper at TCU from like 2000 to 2005 or something like that. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. All right, man. That's good picks, and we'll see if B, you hold that lead when all's said and done on Saturday night.
I'm hoping so. It grew by 1 this week. So I'm just going to keep slowly growing it, and then I don't have to worry about trying to make a comeback at the end of the season.
That's right.
Guys, it's been fun. We're going to have a nice chill week this weekend. No stress without OU playing, but you know what they say, right?
The weekend is good,
but the midweek is always better.
And boom goes the dynamite.